grappling with this fearless leader concept, I think what's important in leadership is to be effective. So if there is something that is stopping you from being effective, something inside that says, I know I should do this, everything in me tells me that this is the right thing to do, but I am still not doing it, I suppose that then would be the definition of the fear that stops us from doing that thing which we know we ought to do, and that thing which stops us from being effective. So if that is the definition of fear, then clearly we will have to look within ourselves to see what is the reason for that fear. Now, very often we don't speak out, or we don't do the things that we know that are right because we're afraid of the consequences. That's not foolish. It is not foolish to know that if I do A, B may happen. Or if I do A, I will likely end up here. That is actually wise. Because what you have to do is confront that fear and say, that could happen. But because I so believe in what I am doing, I am prepared to take that consequence. And guess what? This is how I am going to mitigate against it. I am going to put in place Z, Q, and L. That if this happens, I'm going. So ladies, it's about being smart. It's about knowing what it is you believe in and about going in that direction. And I can tell you, this applies in every world that we've been in, and certainly, as I said, I've been 30 years in the belly of the beast. You see it there as you do in NGOs or anywhere else. I graduated from St. Andrew High School. Anybody else went to St. Andrew High? So there, as you know, we nurture leaders. At a school like St. Andrew, you're taught to be the best you can be and to speak out. So this is part of my DNA. This is who I am. And I took this now because I graduated as a lawyer, and I was asked within my first year to serve as a director and the company secretary on a board called the National Foundation of Jamaica. And there I met amazing men, and this is why I can't say that men have not helped me. Men like Danny Williams, Elon Beckford. These are the kind of men who look out for young people and nurture them. So I was in the corporate boardroom very, very early. Most of the times I would have been the only woman in that room. And you move then into corporate where you now have a job, and I'm sitting there as a company secretary, and things would come up, and of course I would always have my 2 cents. And they would, yes, little one, what is it? But there are times I would say something and then nobody would, it's like it took a man to say it, exactly what I said, and then suddenly it was heard. So I used to say, I feel like I have to get on the table and stand up and shout so that you actually hear what I have to say. So that was my early experience. Now 50 years on, because I'm now 50 plus, I've learned a lot of things. And some of those things are, you have to truly believe in what you are saying. We can't just speak because we want to be heard. You have to be prepared. So you have to have done your research and know what it is that you are talking about. In terms of communicating, you have to look for that win-win. What is it that I want to achieve? And sometimes in achieving or in getting what you want, you have to say, what does the other person need out of this? How can we collaborate? So when I was younger, I would just be, okay, very outspoken, say what I think because I know it's true and I know I'm right. But as I have grown older, I have realized that I have to step back and understand what is that situation. What is it I truly need to achieve? And if it means that I make you think that it was your idea, I really don't care. Because at the end of the day, I know what it is I want to achieve. I know why I want to achieve it. And depending on who you are, my role is to figure you out and say, how can we get there together? Going from my first voluntary position, I was now working at a bank, and again went in, young lawyer, felt that the world was my oyster. And if you ever feel like you are a pot bubbling, and then all these old people are just sitting on top of you to make sure you stay right there. That was kind of my first experience. So I moved from there, because I had met so many of these other people. My very next job was now the manager of a department in a bank. And I would have been about probably, okay, as a lawyer 23, so 24, 25, 26, 27. And I now had to supervise people who were like 50, male and female. And they could not understand what I was doing there. And I certainly could not supervise them. It's not easy. And maybe that is where a lot of my negotiated approach has come from. Because being in an endless confrontation with persons who are determined to be in a confrontation with you will not get the job done. And I am a passionate ticker. Every day I get up and I have to write it down so I can tick it. Sometimes even when I have done it already, I still write it down so I can tick it. Yes, right? So I am about getting that job done. So if I have to sit with you and put that little kernel of an idea in your head, and then you come back and you tell me about it, and I say, what a great idea. I don't have a problem with that, because at the end of the day, I have always got the awards for being the best manager, having the teams that perform. Part of it as well is you really do have to try and know your people. What is important to them? And if you look at all the work that they've done on leadership and leaders, persons it's not the money that you pay them that's important. It's are you meeting their basic needs? They start with the tools, they start with the, you have to have certain basics, the tools to pay. But after that, it's things like, do you have a best friend at work? Are you self-actualizing? So if you can find some common ground with these persons, and what I used to do, I used to say, I don't know anything. The other thing I find is I look for the best in people. I love you until you do me something really bad. So this glass is definitely half full, and we're talking about how we. So you get to a point where they're like, so when I left another job, they did a cartoon for me, a Clovis, which I love, and I had on rose-tinted glasses, because my staff always felt that I looked at the world through rose-tinted glasses. But guess what that meant? They were always the ones looking out for what was going to go wrong, because, she's not even going to see it. But I'm going ahead and I'm looking for the best in those people. So that's what I would say to you. Look for the best in those people. Seek to empower them, and even when they do things, try to move beyond it and to be the leader that you are. It's very difficult, but what you have to do is build a team. Because as Audrey says, you can't do it by yourself. You have to do it with your team. So you have to find where people are and see what common ground do we have. There comes a point though, because guess what? Anybody who has ever been, I am no pushover. So there comes a point where, okay, you don't want to play ball, I will paper you over. I will write you memo and memo till I can go to IDT and stand up for why you are out of here. So it doesn't mean you're a pushover. But you don't have to, you can have your power, but you don't need to flex it. Bring them with you. Because when you have that ally, nobody can take them from you. They are your best ally. Empower.
Alright, you took my word right there. But I would agree.
Yeah.
Empower. Yeah. Just one word?
No, you can come up with a sentence, just your final thoughts.
Yeah. So I think that's very important as sisters. We empower or can empower each other. That's a very great power and responsibility. And you don't have to be all the way up, because wherever you are on that value chain, there will be others. So help us. We need to help each other to be the best we can be. Look for the good. Look for the talents. And that's the other thing. Nobody is perfect. That's why you have teams. Because you have a strength. Social media, I'm terrible. I have children who are constantly posting on, and like, just keep me out of those pictures. I'm not a media person. She has a talent, but I have a talent. And so does Audrey. Together, we are completely awesome. So just remember that. And love each other and empower each other.